I'm Carlos Parisi. I'm the owner of Aunt Nee's. I'm a food head, cook, storyteller.
I'm here with Chef Anthony Lombardo.
Fresh from the butcher's hands.
And above all, I'm a Detroiter. In this series, I'm going to show you Detroit. And I'm going to show you Detroit through the eyes of the people that call this place home. Hey-o. So we've got 2 rows of different tacos. We got chicken and beef, and then quesadillas on top. This is an ensalada nopal. Ensalada nopal is just always been standard in my family.
What is the green sauce?
It is a jalapeno poblano salsa that I make.
Ooh, that sounds so good.
So it's jalapeno poblano that I smoke and char on the fire, then peel the skin off once it's wet, and then you emulsify that in with confit garlic and onion and the oil from the confit. So that it gives it that creamy texture. I think that who we are has a lot to do with how we eat here in the city.
One of the biggest challenges that I think is the city is only now just starting to get over is the narrative about Detroit. And 10 years ago, there's an assumption that there's nothing here and, you know, just crime ridden and God, how can you live there? And lately when I've traveled, there's been a real shift. The food scene's always been awesome here. It's just now people are realizing it.
Like 11 years ago when I moved here, it was like, oh, okay, there's like 5 pop-ups. And now it's like insane. Like every week there's at least, at this point, like 70 food events, from like volunteering opportunities to pop-ups, like to markets.
Best thing about it is it's like Detroit it's like the biggest small town.
When I first moved here, like it was kind of a club. It was like, you know, to get in, it was, you had to like pay your dues a little bit.
Mama said it best, that Detroit is like a village. And it may take a little bit to get in that village, but once you're in, like they wrap their arms around you and like you're in. And that's so true.
I've always tried to make it my personal effort to make sure that everybody feels included, everybody feels welcome. I have a personal mantra that is walk into every room like it's a party that you're hosting.
I'll drink to that.
Yep.
Action profit.
In Mexico, we have café de olla. Café de olla is essentially coffee that's done in a clay pot with a bunch of different spices. And like, before you did this, I wasn't finding this anywhere. So I'm happy that you do it here, man, because it scratches the itch, that's for sure.
We wanted to at least offer something a little different, but also very part of me. You know, being from Mexico, I grew up with café de olla, so I was like, how do we offer it in a way where it's approachable? It's an opportunity to talk about something that is close to me, close to Mexican culture.
I think both of you guys are true examples of people that have come into the city and not just decided to jump in and try to do something that you think is what the city needs. Neither of you have that kind of complex. You were both able to really come in and be a part of the city of Detroit.
So coming here and just being exposed to all these folks was really exciting, and kind of feeling a way, how do I see myself fit, rather than instead of like trying to disrupt what's going on in Detroit. But I felt like it was something, you know, luckily I think all the places I worked, just making, you know, those relationships, that community kind of allowed me to do something like this. And so, yeah.
I gravitated towards the people that were like me, that grew up in a home of a different culture, that learned to communicate differently, that we have a different way of eating, we have a different way of doing everything, really.
When you have someone, anybody that understands and recognizes you, like, it's like, oh, they see me and I want to be your friend. You know, like people get weird when they experience something new or see something. Like I grew up and people thought my lunches were stinky, you know? And
why is your food green?
Yeah.
Because it's guacamole, man.
Yeah, now you want to bring the craziest thing for lunch or a picnic or a party. So I think, you know, people change and grow with time, and I think there's a limit to some people where it's like, screw it, I just want to do my thing. We all talk to each other about it, you know, because we all come from like the same kind of background, and it's really special, and it's like it's like whatever our parents did, this is like version 2.0.
Yeah.
This is the dark horse of the restaurant. We just got the fish, harissa aioli, charmula, slaw, toasted challah bun. Let's go eat.
Why does this look so sensual?
That's the thing. When I left fine dining, I told people, listen, we're not fine dining. We're a community accessible restaurant. People always want to know about Detroit's French roots, right? But what they forget is before the French was the Anishinaabe, right? And so there were indigenous people here before that. So when you look at the history of food throughout Detroit, all the way up until it was one of the last stops on the Underground Railroad, and that's where you have all this Black cuisine that just influences the city. And I think now we have this new Bangla town, and we have this new Arab population. I think we're all stewards of what Detroit's food is, but it's not ours alone to hold. We're this first round of third culture generational kids who, am I American? Am I Palestinian? Like, I don't know where I belong. Where do I fit, right? Like growing up, I remember during the Gulf War, kids, my own classmates were like, you need to go back to your country. And I'm like, wait a minute, I was born here. Am I not American, right? And then I go home and I'm like, I'm excited. I'm going to the homeland. This is awesome. And I'm down in the souk and I'm buying stuff.
And they call you American.
And they're like, no, you have to pay American prices. You're American. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm American. And so these displaced kids now, they're finding their own cuisine. They're finding their own ways to take mom's recipes and mom's dishes and make it a sandwich, a burger, a taco,
A pizza.
a pizza. And that's what I'm most excited about, and just watching this evolution of food throughout the city and how it'll continue to grow. Let's eat, man.
Yeah, for sure, please. Cheers, dude. I love you, man.
Cheers.
Thank you.
So good. You know what this is missing? A signature Carlos dance.
Oh, a dance? Thank you so much.
Signature dance.
When the food is good, Carlos dances.
Man, yeah, I do. I mean, it's usually just like one of these. It's true, man. I mean, the fact that I can pick apart so many different individual seasonings while I'm eating it, and then having that round flavor be the overall embrace, almost like a hug. You nail it with your food, man.
Thank you, thank you.
You know how many sleepless nights I've had in this kitchen?
I believe it. I believe it.
The amount of times where I've just been cutting avocados open, just falling asleep. When we first started here, we were doing, geez, I think our capacity hit at about like 40 cases, 50 cases that we were able to just put out in one night of salsa.
The program has grown a lot, and like right now we have 18 tenants. What I've been doing since March is like creating workshops and classes for businesses at any stage. So it could be early stage entrepreneurs, it could be some that are at the scaling phase, or it could be for businesses that are more mature and seasoned. Seeing people grow, like that's really, it's like, you know, it's like watching a kid, you know, like go from like a baby to like a toddler, and then like they leave home at 18. You know, it really is like that. And that's really why I do what I do. Like that's the whole point. The point is that they can, so that they, whatever their dreams are, that they come true, whether it is to retire or even if it's to pay their kids' college tuition, right?
We're thankful to have been given this space, this place to build our company, but we really had to go out and figure it all ourselves.
Yeah.
And now because of you, there's so much more going on here that's really allowing the next generation to grow a business.
Yeah.
The next generation to, like you said, maybe provide for their next generation.
Right. That's the thing, like, you know, most of us can't afford to fail, right?
A lot of people have said, are you pre or post Whole Foods? If you're pre-Whole Foods, then you kind of get it.
A lot of people said it was crazy and that like you're gonna, you know, this place is gonna be closed within 6 months because who in Detroit can afford Whole Foods? And what I loved is that narrative really shifted pretty quickly because you were seeing everybody shop there.
I think that they also very much underestimated the buying power of the people of the city of Detroit, and them wanting to have access to organic foods, healthy foods, like those types of things.
It wasn't even just a willingness, it was a need.
They won and we won in the end.
¿De qué son?
Son de rajas y de pollo.
Ay, qué rico, gracias.
This is for everyone else.
These are my favorites too, the rajas y queso.
The rajas y queso are very, very good.
It's peppers and cheese.
So rajas, and what did you say these are?
Chicken.
Chicken. Okay. I'm gonna give it a second because that's just gonna be real.
Nope. Grabbing it and going.
Is it good? Okay, good. I know that I started to go to our local Whole Foods more when I found out they were selling, local salsa. Even at Honeybee, they sell local chips, right? So I actually go to those places more if I know that they're supporting my neighbors and residents in my neighborhood.
You want to go get some pan?
Sure.
Cool. Polvorones?
Okay.
You think pink?
Pink is always
Yeah.
good.
All right, so let's put a polvoron.
Get a bunch.
Which one? Stick
The
with the
yellow
pink?
one.
Yellow, heard.
If a Whole Foods, if a Meijer had a entrepreneurship program that actually helped people learn how to do that work and then sold it through their stores, I definitely believe that we're not being creative enough. That can be something that's actually sponsored by the federal government, because the federal government sponsors our dairy. Can we sponsor our small local businesses and entrepreneurs? I think that we're not thinking big enough. I think that we're not asking enough of our governments. I think that we are given crumbs and we think that's okay, but there are other countries that virtually have no homelessness, that virtually have no crime. And these are places where their governments invest so much into their people, and they're doing great. So I will always push for creative solutions. I think that we can always do more. I think these big national stores have the capacity to teach and to support. So I would love to see that one day.
It's fine if you're starting up a small business. They're going to teach you everything to how to start the small business.
Sustain
And
grow.
then there's some growth options, but then in order to get to that next level, where the higher CPGs are at, is almost impossible without either the right kind of funds or infrastructure, or even just kind of, for lack of a better term, selling out.
I think that change can happen in big and small ways, and I would just hope that people remember that. You don't have to be a politician to change the world, and quite frankly, politicians are not going to save the world. It's going to be everyday people that come together, feed each other, support each other, and I just really hope that people remember that is the power that we all have today.
We're just going to eat this like 12-year-old Carlos style, where you eat it straight out the husk.
As long as you don't eat it white man style, where you eat it with the husk.
With the husk on, my best friend didn't know how to eat tamales, and then he just...
I have an embarrassing question. Do you do a grilled ham and cheese sandwich?
Yeah, that's what I was really Our ham is hot already out of the oven,
Yeah.
and the grill is hot.
Okay. You just wanted your bread toasted, is what
I
you
just
want.
want grilled cheese with ham.
Oh, you want your bread toasted?
Yeah, like grilled cheese with ham in it.
Grills off?
Grilled off.
It's done for today.
No problem.
But
All right.
ham and cheese, you like it where I make it.
It's so good.
Like, I didn't have this in my childhood, so when I
Yeah.
discovered this, I was like, man.
Yeah, this is definitely like white people food. Or like my American friends had this. And
This is like after Thanksgiving food for me. No, Christmas, because of Christmas ham, right? I would take my friend's ham.
I grew up with a pretty like diverse community. I think living here, it was definitely more American style, like ham sandwiches and chips for lunch, that kind of thing. But then we moved to Europe, and the snacks are different. The street food's different. I grew up in Germany and Switzerland. I got a croissant at the train station. I got bratwurst. I ate doner kebabs. They don't have that kind of stuff here, And because like the reason why this ham shop is successful and like maybe why we gravitate towards it is because like a lot of immigrants, like if you go back to, you know, Japan, China, or whatever, those restaurants just make one thing.
Look at him carve that ham.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
We love you guys.
Yeah.
And so, to me, it's important to like make sure that food, which is related to culture and history, is represented properly. And that's why I get upset a lot when Japanese food is not made by a Japanese person. Like, the food can taste good, but that's not the point.
So I see what you're saying about that, but then I also think about like how certain food wouldn't have been created if it weren't for fusion, right? For example, we wouldn't have tacos the way that they are today if we didn't have the Middle Eastern population moving to Mexico, showing Mexicans how to use the spit for shawarma, and Mexicans being like, cool, toss pork on it, let's do it. And lo and behold, now we have tacos al pastor, tacos de bistec, everything on the spit. You can't walk through Mexico City without one block seeing 2 taquerias on a corner with a giant spit up front. So tacos are Mexican. They're as Mexican as can be. They're more Mexican than the cactus, but they're not.
Yeah.
We got that because of the Middle Eastern population.
But that's the thing I think that's unique. Like, I understand what you're saying, but I think at the same time, like, now you're talking about making food accessible, and that's adaptation. Like, you know, like imagine, like I know when my parents were sponsored here and they all lived with a big Vietnamese community in the poorest parts of the valley in Van Nuys, in the same apartment complex, all helping each other out. Like everybody was learning how to make pho with like ramen noodles for a little bit because rice noodles wasn't available. And it's like all these traditional dishes that should be very Chinese, very secular like Vietnamese, they're not that anymore because you have to adapt to where you are. And that's okay.
Detroit now is being put up and given the light to show who we are. And I think that it's beautiful that we get that opportunity to demonstrate, to get up on the podium and talk about ourselves.
The reason that we have such a strong food scene here is because the barriers to entry have been so low historically. And those barriers to entry are getting higher and higher every day.
It's very important for us to educate that next generation of chefs and restaurateurs and GMs. The mission of our restaurant is Hassan al-Dayafa, and Hassan al-Dayafa in Arabic literally translates to Hassan or Hassanat, or the good deeds that you collect throughout life, right? And you need as many as you can to get into heaven. A dayafa or a diyuf is to give to your guests to make them feel welcome and comfortable. And so to give your guest the thing that you need to get into heaven, just give it away. It's like the levity of how important hospitality is. We confuse hospitality with service so much. Service is, was the fork in the right place? Was the cup in the right place? Was the chair enough inches away from the table? That's all mechanics. It's service. But hospitality is a feeling, how you make someone feel in your kitchen, in your restaurant, in your home.
No matter how hard you try, and we will always need these spaces, and food is that bridge to community. And so like no matter what happens, we will always have some kind of like strong food scene, but it really is, it's our responsibility to make sure that like the next generation can come up and create pathways for themselves in this place.
We are the pop-up scene. We are the food event scene. We are
the storytellers.
The storytellers.
Oh my God.
And I think that us, the people that we're all connected to, our immediate close group of community, we wouldn't be who we are today without these people all putting in the countless hours, days, years of hard work that has made each one of our communities so much stronger than before the day that we touched it. 2 bags of chips, and tell them $11. Awesome, thanks a lot, guys. It's good to see you. Good job, thank you so much. I don't know if did I ever tell you this? When my grandfather first came to the United States. So my mom's father was a doctor in Mexico City. And he was traveling around the United States, going from like state to state to just be a better doctor, I guess. I don't know, that's what they did. But he landed in Detroit and he got off at that train station. And he called my grandmother and wanted to tell my grandmother that he just walked through the most beautiful building that he's ever been in. and that was the train station. So for my mom to have told me that story as a kid and drive past that building and then now see where it's at today, I can now see the vision of what my grandfather saw.
Through the rain and the